Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Shermin, and today we are going to cover what are biological hazards in food. We are going to cover the basics of biological hazards, what are the sources of these hazards, how can we eliminate them in the food, what could be possible health consequences and legal actions of biological contamination of food in Canada. I hope you enjoyed this video and take some notes for yourself. So, CFI defines biological hazards as microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungi, molds that can cause foodborne illness or produce harmful toxins. Now, this is a very broad concept of all the microorganisms that we possibly know of, but they can enter the food chain in various ways. This also means that they can be present in any kind of food you consume on day-to-day basis. For example, E. coli 0157H7 strain is a very harmful strain of bacteria, especially found in beef products. That's why in Canada, beef product is considered a high-risk product and there is a rigorous sampling done in order to make sure that any beef product that is sold in Canada is free of E. coli. The second example is Listeria monocytogenes contamination in RTE chicken products. So when I say RTE chicken products, I am talking about your chicken nuggets, um, chicken burgers, etc. And these, when they are manufactured, they are prepped, frozen, and stored with a shelf life of one entire year. That being said, during the process of manufacturing to the transportation and to the storage in any third party facility, there could be listeria contamination, which might not be detected in supply chain and can cause um, biological contamination of food might reach the customer and cause various health hazards, which we will talk in going ahead in the video. Let's move on to the sources of biological contamination. When I'm saying sources, we are going to explore what are the possible routes through which these biological contaminants, such as bacteria, can enter the food chain. For example, through raw ingredients, manufacturing facility conditions, pest, and poor GMP hygienes. I would like to remind you that these four are primary points through which biological contaminants can enter food chain, but these are not the only method through which biological contaminants can spoil the food. There are many other entries through which they can um, contaminate the food, which I would understand that you would do your study and explore those areas. But let's explore how through raw ingredients this bacteria can enter the food chain. So for example, daily meats is known to be contaminated with listeria when it is not handled in proper manner. Um, that what I'm trying to say is that, for example, you go to a store, you buy a deli meat, you don't know if it's contaminated or not. And let's say in worst case scenario, it is contaminated with listeria. You bring it home and you eat it, and unfortunately, you get sick. So this is one of the way the bacteria could enter the food chain. Now, deli meats are certain meat that we consume in a raw form. Some people cook them. So there are also various scenarios that are attached to food when it comes to the elimination or killing of bacteria. The second example is pesticides and insecticides that are used on the farm while growing the food products such as vegetables, fruit, etc. And if it misses certain steps of cleaning and sanitation, then it could just go to the customer with chemicals like pesticides and insecticides on it and can cause foodborne illness. Another point here is facility condition. So when I'm saying facility condition, I'm trying to point here at manufacturing facility where food is being manufactured. So for example, if there is a water leaks, poor sanitation practices, this could lead to entry of pathogens and harmful bacteria which are present in contaminated water and then can contaminate food. The third is pest entry. So if the facility is not properly sealed, closed, if there are gaps within the doors, then entry of insects and rodents such as rats, mice can enter the facility and contaminate the food, especially in the storage area. So the pest control is very important. And the fourth is poor GMP. GMP is unfortunately taken very lightly in manufacturing industries, but let me tell you, they play a massive role in avoiding contamination on at the same time causing contamination. For example, hand washing practices. You are asked to wash your hands for 20 seconds with hot water. So let's say if you wash your hands for 20 seconds with cold water, there are chances that there are bacteria on your hands, which you could pass on to the food that you are packing, manufacturing, etc. PPE could include stuff like gloves, aprons, etc. When not properly worn and sanitized, could again cause the entry of pathogens in food, and housekeeping practices, which means constant cleaning of floors and equipment. These are the few um, areas where pathogen can enter your food chain and can cause uh, biological contamination. All right, so now let's move on to the part where we will understand how to eliminate these hazards from food. So you definitely would need to eliminate these hazards because you don't want your customer to consume biologically contaminated food. And one of the most efficient way in which biological hazards or any kind of hazards that are physical or chemical in nature can be eliminated is through hazard analysis under HACCP and PCP plan. HACCP stands for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point and PCP stands for Preventative Control Plan. These both plans are mandated under something called Safe Food for Canadian regulations, which is governed by CFIA, asking all food manufacturing facility in Canada to identify and evaluate all relevant biological, chemical, and physical hazards. Now, how is this typically done? So, first, what I'm going to do is I am going to assemble a team that is called HACCP team, and it is multidisciplinary, meaning have members from different sections of the business, which I will explore in my upcoming videos. And then we will sit down and identify all hazards that can be present in the manufacturing facility, and then we evaluate them and make the control for it. So let's say in identification, I identify that the product that I'm manufacturing in this facility has a good chances of presence of listeria. Let's say we are making a RTE chicken product, there is listeria in it. I have identified my biological hazard. Now I'm going to evaluate my hazard. Let's see what is the likelihood of its occurrence and the severity of this hazard. So if the product is not handled in efficient manner in a GMP manner as per the standard operating protocol, there is a almost certain chances that likelihood it's gonna occur. And then what is the severity? The severity is very high right here. So and you might see that there is 25 written next to it. So how did I get this number? So let's say it's very certain. So that is score of 5. And then Severity here is also 5, so 5 multiplied by 5 and it's 25. That means your plant will now be considered as a very high risk plant. And then as the last point we come to see is that evaluation can be conducted through risk ranking matrix, which is right here, risk ranking matrix, to score hazards, for instance, presence of E. coli O1 57 at 7 strain in beef is considered very high risk. And I will make videos to explain how do we control hazards in a high risk product. Moving on to the last section of this video, let's discuss what are the possible health hazards that could occur due to the biological contamination. So, for example, it varies upon the type of microbial contamination. For example, if you consume food that is contaminated with listeria, then the consequences are unfortunately very severe. For example, stillbirth or death in many cases. But bacteria like lactobacillus is dominantly used in food industry, especially dairy industry, for the process of fermentation. It is definitely recommended that you check the best before date, expiry date, and strictly follow the cooking guidelines provided on the packaging. Now, the legal consequences are more towards the um, purpose of manufacturing facility. What legal consequences could occur for a manufacturing facility that sent out a biologically contaminated food or could not secure the food in the facility itself, or could not track it in the supply chain. This could lead to product recall, unfortunately. Um, in major cases, for example, maple leaf incident, fines and penalties in cases where they did not follow one of their standard operating procedure, or license suspension in cases where they could not upkeep their HACCP plan. There could be civil lawsuits between the person who got sick and the company who provided or who they bought the food for them. So there are various consequences in Canada. It is good to know that this country takes food safety and quality seriously. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you feel this was useful for you.